Hey guys, this is Tobinjoseph again. It's a little more serious talk, that's why I'm sitting down. And you may see me glancing at a piece of paper because there's some emotional stuff in this and I had to write a bit of it down. This goes out to anybody who's suffering any type of depression currently or has in the past, perhaps is nervous that they're going to experience it again in the future. I want you to know we all go through it to a different degree and a magnitude. I go through it a lot myself, and I have in the past, and I found some ways to make things better, to transform those thoughts, to almost transmute those thoughts, which means to mutate them, to take them as one state and turn them into something else permanently. Now, I understand we live in a very difficult time on this planet. The planet's struggling to survive. As a species, we're having a difficult time connecting with each other. I understand that. That is an overlaying thing or an underlying thing that affects all of us. Now we have difficulty finding positivity when we see all this difficulty around, correct? So the key is difficulty. We need to make things more simple on ourselves. Now let me tell you a little story about myself. And you may have heard this before. 13, 15 years ago or so, doesn't matter anymore. I was in a very bad car accident. When I woke up, I was left with nothing. I had essentially died, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, and I had to rebuild, or at least that was my only choice. My body and my brain were destroyed. Severe trauma. You can look into the story. I won't go into too much detail. My point by telling this is that I was literally broken, burnt, ripped, torn apart, flesh hanging off my body, bones showing through to the surface in many places. My neck was fractured, my back was broken, I had lacerations everywhere. I smelt like gasoline, I felt like I was on fire. But you know what? I resurrected. Pain, yes. More pain, yes. But I was alive. And yes, I had wished I had died many times. I had screamed out loud for God to take me, to kill me, to let me die. Any way that I could put it, I felt like it was trying a key in a lock and I just needed to find the right way. But I didn't die. I was here. And this is a lesson for all of us, I guess. We're here. We have no choice. Yeah, bad things go on. We can get depressed over it. That's not what life is for, right? When something bad happens, it should be our choice, it should be our mandate, it should be our only prerogative to then do something good and make something positive happen. Like photography, right? Life shows us a negative, we could transform it into a positive. And that's what I've done with my life and done my best to. None of us are perfect. It's been a struggle, but it has taken me out of depression, I'll tell you that much. From once a suicidal kid that didn't want to share it with anybody because nobody could understand. Not that they couldn't understand the depression and the suicidal thoughts, but they couldn't understand why me, who's so talented and capable, was feeling these feelings. What I've resolved is that we all feel them to a certain degree. We need to share with each other. We need to be open so we have support systems when we get into these negative situations so we can transform it to a positive. Otherwise, we're trapped in the negative. Now, I was in a situation where it seemed like all my friends had abandoned me. Nobody was around. I had my family, but I couldn't really confide in them with these interesting thoughts. So I went inside again, and that's not necessarily the best thing. That's where depression lives, correct? We need to externalize these things in helpful and cathartic ways. But with the exception of my family, I was alone. Me and God. And at the time, we didn't have the best relationship, or at least I didn't understand why certain things had happened. Maybe you can relate to that. But what I did know was that I was here and I was present and I was aware of these feelings and these thoughts I was having. And that I needed to, at all costs, transform what I was perceiving as negative into some sort of positive. Whatever method would bring me there, whatever steps I needed to take, however small, I knew that that was the priority. The reason I was noticing I was depressed because I needed to be impressed by myself, and I needed to impress this world with goodness and not this negativity that I was feeling inside. And maybe one day that would reflect on the inside, and I promise you, I'll say it again, I promise you, it does. I feel so much joy and peace and happiness waking up every day. Yes, I built my own dream. I've manifested what's in my mind to reality, but listen, we all can, and we all have everything we've ever wanted here. We just have to open our eyes and see it, right? We dwell 23 hours and 59 minutes and 47 seconds on that negative thought we're feeling, but for a moment we're feeling beauty and purity and grace in this present moment. We need to transform every moment that we feel depressed into that, because we've experienced it and we need more of it, and we need to make the conscious effort to do something about it. Listen, I have a bullet list of things here to tell you about how amazing this process is. I eventually rose out of this depression, and we go in waves, of course, but that low wave gets a little more thin and that high wave gets really high, and you know how to pin it there. I built a gym, I built my dream, Temple Kinesis, to teach people about energy and physical movement and mental movement and how to interact with themselves and others and life and nature itself. My dream come true. I've helped thousands of people, not hundreds, close to tens of thousands, if not bordering a higher number than that at this point. But thousands of people, thousands of humans walking around this planet are living improved lives at this point because I survived and I pulled myself out of depression and I tried to make a change for myself, which has in turn helped thousands of people. I could die today a very happy man because I turned depression into helping thousands of other people. How amazing is that? Man, I've suffered some things since, right? That could have led me into deep, deep depression. And I'll be honest, they had to a certain degree. But because of this process of transmutation and transformation, this inner alchemy, I was able to rise above this trauma that was hitting me as hard as possibly can be. I was suffering an abusive relationship with a woman I loved. And neither of us were in a place where we could really help each other the way we needed to. Because at the same time, I had just opened my business and I was struggling with everything that comes with owning a new business. And at the same time, my father was going through a bad bout of cancer, which eventually took his life soon after I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. This was a sad time. This was a low time. There was nothing I could do, no matter how conscious I could be of this, to pull myself out of this depression. I almost destroyed my whole life, my career, everything. I almost threw it away. I just gave up. I thought, why are these amazing people dying and going away and moving out of my life? And I thought it was over. But then I remembered 15 years ago, 13 years ago, I was on a deathbed. And now I'm here running a successful business that helps thousands of people. And I can do backflips, and I can do pull-ups, and I can do handstand walks, and I can laugh with kids for an hour a day, every day of the week, and inspire them to do something better with their life. And I can do the same with adults all day long. And oh my God, what was I sad about? What was I depressed about? It is so much better than it could have been. Maybe that's the reason for this conversation. It's better than it could have been if it was at its worst. And we always need to remember that, because sometimes we feel right now it's the worst it could be, but it could always be worse, and you don't want to wish that upon yourself. You wouldn't even wish that upon your worst enemy, but sometimes we do it to ourselves. We're glutton for punishment. Even when I was at my lowest, some of the people I helped tried to take from me and steal from me and do harmful things to me and my character and my business. And I took my ego out of it right away, because my ego was destroyed. It was beat up, it was hurt, it was damaged. And I wondered, why is this happening? I wanted to die, right? I was thinking these thoughts. I want to die. I don't deserve to be here. I don't want to be here. This other being who died deserves to be here more than I do. Well, guess what? Life started to make that happen for me. It was trying to kill off the life I knew in certain ways. Now, there were things that I didn't want to disappear from my life, so I kept them. I held on to them, and I saw them differently so I could keep them. But then, wow, life showed me that there were things that I really needed to cut out of my life. There was some high schoolish stuff going on. I was being bullied by a client who I asked to leave the gym, tried to get people on the bandwagon and tried to harass me, tried to stalk me at my home, tried to tear down my business and slander me. Man, I felt like the world was crumbling around me. And then I thought back, all these months I had been alone and depressed, and I still had to help people every day. The thoughts I was feeling when I was helping people and doing what I love to do were that I didn't want to be here, right? And that manifested itself. It reflected itself in other people around me. So I became aware of it, and I stopped, and I realized a lot of these people were around because of the depressed me, because it felt good for them to be around somebody who was struggling. Not because they wanted to help this person, but because they wanted to feel good about themselves. Do you see that? So we all do this. None of us share our problems, share our depressions, share our issues with each other because we want somebody to share theirs so we feel better about ours. Now, I'm the type of person, I want to heal, right? I want to heal myself. I want to get better. I want to ascend tomorrow. So that's why I'm sharing all this. I want you guys to feel better about yourselves tomorrow, about your problems, because I'm here sharing mine. Go to a therapist. Go to your loved one. Share it with them. They care, and they can help you. Getting it out helps. Okay? I went through such a terribly tough time, but in that terribly tough time, I was able to see positives. Life was teaching me lessons, and if I was humble enough, if I was a man enough to listen to life's lessons, I could become a superhero version of myself once I got out of that depression. Once I climbed out of that hole I had dug myself in and reached the peak of the mountain and saw the light, I would become a superhero.